PYX106, Quinn and Cantera.
1-800-LAW-1010, 1-800-LAW-1010.com. Paul Harding from Martin Harding Mazzotti on the phone. Good morning, Paul.
How are you, Paul?
Hey, good morning. Doing great.
So on the heels of this kid, I guess, talking before Congress on saying that he defied his parents' wishes and immunized himself without their consent, there's now a New York State Assemblywoman, Pat Fahey, am I pronouncing that name correctly? Who's got a bill that would allow minors as young as the age of 14 to receive immunizations without parents' consent. I don't know. I don't know how that makes parents with 14-year-olds feel, but I can imagine I would want to have complete control over my 14-year-old if I were a father. So we wanted to discuss it with you on the legalities, the ins and outs of that kind of thing, especially after the kid last night on NBC who didn't get the rabies vaccination and almost died.
Yeah, it's going to be a hot issue. The vaccinations, you got all kinds of information, some of it valid, some of it invalid, all over the Internet, what can happen if you take these vaccinations. So we've seen such an uptick in people who have not had their children vaccinated. And with that, we've seen outbreaks of the measles and meningitis and things that we thought were kind of behind us. So right now, this bill is just being offered. It certainly hasn't, advanced to the point where I think it's near signing, but it would change the face of what rights parents have over their children for vaccinations.
Is there anything that 14-year-olds are allowed to do without their parents' consent now? I mean, I'm trying to think of they can't drive.
Right.
I mean,
they can't vote. They can't drink.
I feel like they're opening a real can here. Don't parents have the right to impose their beliefs on their children? Isn't that a right,
and
Paul?
And logistically, how would it even go down? I mean, you got your 14-year-old, would they go to the clinic or something?
It's a great question. I thought about this, but I didn't think about that. Yeah, there's very few things that a 14-year-old can do. We think of all the things that parents can't do to a 14-year-old. Again, they've got to maintain that they're safe. They can't give them alcohol. They can't give them drugs. But what can a 14-year-old do? And the answer is probably very few things. Parents do have absolute control at that age. And here, what they're really trying to do is kind of sidestep what they really want. What they really want is everyone to have this vaccination because of all the measles. So now they're saying, hey, we're going to give kids rights. But you're right, practically speaking, how does a kid, he can't drive, usually doesn't have access to much the economic component, or even where the kids even know where their insurance card is, right? Probably not.
Right.
So, sure,
think,
great point.
Think about that. We are heading towards, because Paul, you're going down the right road. We're heading towards mandatory vaccinations, which is the government requiring by law a needle goes into your offspring. Yeah, I mean that's where we're headed, isn't it, Paul?
With a special number and a barcode.
Right. I mean, I'm pro-vaccination. When we were having our first child, and I was living in a really hippie town, I did hear a lot of anti-vaccination stuff.
Right.
But I'm going to side with science on this one.
I'm pro-vaccination. I'm just too lazy to figure out what I need. I think I might get that shingles, but, I'll wait till it happens.
So, I don't know how you clean this mess up, Paul, before it even becomes a mess.
You make everything 18.
Well, right now there are two exemptions, or two that you can have to not have the vaccination. One's religious and one is medical. And the schools examine each. They'll get a letter from the doctor or get a letter from the parents about their religious belief and not need. And so I think it's a little bit. You've got. And I went online. I looked to see how would I, if I wanted my kid not to have a vaccination, what would I do? And there are websites you can contact, and they give you the exact verbiage that you need to hand into the school. And so it's a tricky one. I think probably what they need is to have better information out there, maybe clean up what is there, because, again, everyone's going to have a desire to have it done one way or the other. But, yeah, I mean, it does get this feel like we're living somewhere else if we're going to just require this. But the flip side, if we are back in full-scale measles breakout world, then it does feel like it's avoidable.
I was throwing cardboard in the middle of the street and breakdancing when I was 14. I shouldn't have been making those decisions.
No. Which is why your parents did it for you.
Right.
Paul, I saw Jerry Springer's getting a judge show. Are you hoping to get seated before him?
It would certainly be a hallmark of my career. Yeah, if I could get Jerry and Your Honor, yeah.
Judge Jerry.
God.
Judge Jerry, I feel like, don't you have to be a judge to get a judge show?
Yeah. I mean, is a mayor a judge? He used to be mayor. I don't know.
That works.
Paul Harding from Martin Harding Mazzotti, thank you for joining us. Thanks for talking about this. And, I don't know where we're going to go.
Stick a needle in him. That's where it's going to go.
Exactly.
Thanks, Paul.
It's 1-800-LAW-1010, 1-800-LAW-1010.com. PYX106.com.